Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Welcome everyone to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Uniting humankind with universal love is the motto of this particular network. But on our show, the Dr. Carolyn Dean Live show, I, your co-host, Ginny Sanders, also like to say uniting the entire world with the wisdom and the incredible vibration and the eclectic transmission and the amazing joyfulness of Dr. Carolyn Dean, who is the author of The Magnesium Miracle and a complete and total rock star, you guys. So much fun to be here. And I don't know of any other health show. Actually, I should say, I challenge you to point me to another talk radio health show or YouTube live broadcast where you feel better just listening to the show. That's all you have to do. You just have to listen and you're going to feel better. You know why? Because we are so optimistic and joyful about what is possible for the human body, heart, and mind because of our innate wisdom, the way that we are intelligently designed, the way that we have all cooperation with the universe, if we are willing to allow it, and the unique time in which we all live. And of course, one of the most amazing things about the unique timing in which we live is Dr. Carolyn Dean's actually a doctor who actually knows who she was in other lives. But just saying, for this particular incarnation, she is 50 years. A medical doctor and a naturopath and an herbalist and a clinician and a researcher. And she's also done so many things with her life. And she's developed products, and she's an innovator, and she's a leader, and she's a mother, and she's a wife. And she's the CEO of her own formulation company. And she's on the radio with you tonight, like the old FDR fireside chat, opening up her heart and her mind and her mouth to talk to you about the thing that concerns you the most, which is your health, vitality, well-being, and the health of the people that you love, the people that are around you. And like I said, you're just going to feel better having listened, because it's funny, and I know it's somewhat arrogant, but we really do have all the answers. I mean, we've got them all, and you're going to hear them all tonight, along with your questions, the questions of other people. The call-in guests are all of our wonderful chat line participants on our YouTube, the chat line here at the station, Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And of course, Carolyn and I just jabbering on incessantly about all the things that we aspire to talk to you about tonight. And tonight's topic is something very important. It's about how yeast overgrowth, which is something not a lot of people really understand, can really compromise your immune system. And it is a root cause of a lot of inflammation. And I think everybody knows by now that inflammation is no bueno in a COVID frantic world. So we want to cut down on inflammation. We want to get that yeast under control. We want to know how to do it. And we're going to talk to Dr. Dean about it. Thank you for joining us tonight. And before I bring her on, I just want to remind everybody, this is not a medical advice talk show. We can't do that. Dr. Dean is a doctor, but she can't give you medical advice, but she can tell you what she would do if she were in your shoes, which she has been many times, which is how she got all the wisdom that she got. So without further ado, I give you the most delicious, delightful, wonderfully inspiring, fun, and incredibly wise Dr. Carolyn Dean. Yay! Where did the children go, Rachel? Yay!
The children were on at the beginning.
Oh, they were on at the beginning. There they are. There they are.
They went out for recess and they just came back. They've heard your speech about me so much, and Bob's downstairs with the air conditioning guy, jealous that you're saying all these wonderful things about me. Hopefully he didn't hear that, but yeah, it's a bit overwhelming what Ginny said to me. It is a bit overwhelming, but she has many good points in that we do have the answers, and it's come up a few times in the past week or since our last show where people, under more stress or getting infected with this or that, whatever comes up, and they say, well, what more can I do? What can I take? And it's like, take more of our formulas, because often, and we find this in customer service, people are looking at our labels, the FDA required labels that sort of minimize the dosage. They don't want our doses to be too high or above the RDA, recommended daily allowance. So we just say to people now, just take more, double up and get your orders in. The post office is going through something. The first class postage is under attack. We do 2-day priority, but it made me think, if people are going to pull back from first class, are they going to be using more of 2-day priority? So would you say that's the case, Ginny, that people do have to watch their order times, that the shipping days may be lengthened?
Shipping days are definitely going to be lengthened going into the holiday season, because we already know we've got supply chain issues. We already know, not we, our company, but others out there. And we've got supply chain issues. We already know we have transportation issues. My husband, Greg, told me that there are 2,700 cargo ships sitting in the port down in Louisiana that cannot be unloaded because it's federal property. And apparently there's a little bit of a kerfuffle about vaccining and thingings. And so it's just all sitting there, just sitting there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we got a lot going on the planet. So be wise. I absolutely, can't stand it when people call me and they say, I know, I should have gotten this from my mom before, but now this is happening and blah. It's like, please make sure you've got some stuff on hand. Just have things on hand, because we just don't want to rely on that overnight kind of shipping scenario. So be wise and be prepared. Yeah, definitely.
Right. And the other thing about shipping and transportation, I didn't know about Louisiana, but the Panama Canal, they say after several years of below average rainfall, last year, the Panama Canal experienced its 5th driest year in 70 years, with rainfall just 20% of average. The extended drought forced the Panama Canal Authority in February to adopt new measures to maintain sufficient operational water levels. So I don't know if that means, if another great big tanker or whatever barge gets grounded, if the water levels are low, that can be very disruptive. Yeah, there's a lot going on, folks. So be prepared, stock up. I'm doing a lot of that over here because we are so dependent on the barges. If we don't have the barges coming daily from the west coast of the mainland, we're stuck. That's why I'm working with the farm so diligently. I'm getting freeze dryers so we can freeze foods, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's very important that we put in practice all the safety measures that we know.
Yep, absolutely. And don't be, this is for our radio show audience. We don't just run around broadcasting to the whole wide world, call us and ask for help. But our radio show audience is our family. You guys are with us all the time. You're here every Monday. You download the show. You're always tuning in. You want to do, if you need help with something, you've got to let us know. So just email customer service and say, hey, I'd really like to double up, but I need a little help, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. So let's be wise, and let's be prepared. Okay.
All right. And housekeeping notes. That's enough on that type of housekeeping. There's a lot to go over today. The sort of the COVID related things. They talk about a surge in new onset tics, TICS, in adults tied to COVID stress. That's a magnesium deficiency. So if people talk about stress, you just send them to RNA reset. Right now, I did mention the AC being switched out here. And when the young man came a few weeks ago and we got chatting, and he said he left the hotel side of the AC because it was so stressful. And I told him about magnesium. I gave him my magnesium book. He comes back today, like 3-4 weeks later, and he's just marveling at all the things that this young man, his tingling hands, those symptoms are gone. His mother's doing better. His father doesn't like the taste, so I gave him some berry powder. So, pass this information on. People are now asking. People are, getting a bit desperate. So I do see this, surge in new onset tics. Well, that's just the stress. But then, the surge in heart symptoms with COVID and post-COVID and the COVID vaccinations. COVID affects every organ in the body. And, we're talking about the vascular cells, the lungs, the heart, the brain, kidneys, intestines, liver, throat and pharynx. All the tissues in the body are affected just because of the way the virus binds to certain enzyme receptors. So every cell in the body needs support. And what do? We support cells. So like I said, if a friend gets COVID, just tell them to double up on the formulas. Well, hopefully they have the formulas, but get them and take a lot. But still follow the guidelines to slowly build up right at the beginning. But, I think Ginny would agree, if you're in the throes of an infection and, feeling bad, you can take more Remag than an initiate would take, because your body's going to burn it off quickly. It's not going to overload your cells. You don't need to worry about looking at any other formulas. And as a matter of fact, some of these formulas that people used to rely on, like N-acetylcysteine, are being downplayed. They're not allowed to tell people that N-acetylcysteine will support detoxification. I heard that it was banned, but apparently it's not banned. They're just supplement companies are just not allowed to advertise it. And for the hospitals that are telling people to go home until you get worse and then come back in for your respirator, again, just double everything. And they tell you to go home and take Tylenol. They stopped talking about aspirin because it is a blood thinner. And well, maybe they do use aspirin because there's a lot of many blood clots happening with both COVID and the COVID injection. But the Tylenol actually disrupts your glutathione production. And we don't use NAC, but in our Realign formula, we have methionine. The amino acid methionine is a natural precursor to glutathione. We don't, we talk about that, but that's not its only use. The methylated B vitamins provide methyl groups to the liver methylation detoxification pathways. The taurine and methionine are both sulfur amino acids, so they provide the sulfur molecule to the liver detoxification pathways. So to detox and have the super antioxidants, Realign is very important. Long COVID, as I've said many times, it's the new chronic fatigue fibromyalgia population that's being created. And what do I say about chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia? It's half magnesium deficiency and half yeast overgrowth. We're going to talk about yeast overgrowth. And so what's very obvious with people who've had COVID is they're treated with steroids, which grow yeast, and antibiotics, which allow yeast to overgrow in the intestines. So in order to deal with long COVID, you have to deal with magnesium and yeast. So doubling your intake, the NIC I talked about, the Tylenol, and what's going on in the world. Actually, I was kind of reminded of it a bit when I was listening to David Neufeld's intro. He created the music for us with his wonderful DJ voice. He introduces Ginny and me, and he's up in Canada. And what's happened in Canada, and I don't know if this is true. I'm not hearing anyone say this, but I've talked over the years about my involvement with watching the Codex Alimentarius play out. I went to a couple of meetings in Europe and saw the writing on the wall that they were trying to regulate dietary supplements and foods to make dietary supplements as synthetic and low potency as possible. And what happened is Canada adopted most of the Codex regulations without being kind of forced to. They just adopted, and so did Australia. And what are the two big countries now that are under very strict draconian quarantine? Canada and Australia. So it's almost like the Codex was a kind of a preliminary testing ground to see how people would accept World Health Organization, World Trade Organization kind of rules and regulations. So just something to think about. Ginny, will I go straight into the blog? Do you have any comments about my little mini rant there?
No, it was very good. It was
Thank
complete.
You.
Yes.
It was. Yeah, we are complete.
We are.
Okay, so the blog today, Ginny sends out the email in the morning, and we get questions that people send in, and the topic, it is very important. I've already outlined that people who've had COVID, if they've been treated with I said steroids and antibiotics, but just the whole stress of it all. They're going to be suffering yeast overgrowth from these medications and magnesium deficiency from the stress and everything else. And what is yeast? It's another condition that's ignored by modern medicine. It's not a topic in medical school, yet it's a huge immune suppressant because yeast produces 178 different yeast toxins that have to be processed and eliminated from the body. So that's where the liver becomes overworked. And that's why the Realign is so important to help liver detoxification. And the work of doing all that uses up nutrients and takes energy away from other bodily functions, mostly the immune system. So that's why it's important to focus on yeast overgrowth in today's show, because this tiny, mighty organism opens the doors to viral and bacterial infections. Candidiasis, or yeast overgrowth, is nothing new. It's been around for almost a century, ever since Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in 1928. We began to use antibiotics in earnest in 1940s. I think it was around the wartime, with all the wounds and everything. They really put penicillin to use. Yeast itself, a cousin to molds, has grown in human bodies since Adam and Eve. Candida albicans is the main yeast in the human body. It lives there happily enough, kept in check by beneficial bacteria. We call them probiotics in the intestines. These bacteria make vitamins and help digest excess sugars that get past the small intestine. A very special group of bacteria, which make lactic acid, protects the gut and the vagina against yeast in a very balanced ecosystem. However, when you begin taking antibiotics, this happy bacterial environment becomes unbalanced. Antibiotics wipe out most of the good along with the bad bacteria, leaving yeast unharmed. In the absence of any competition, yeast colonies grow into all the empty nooks and crannies of the large intestine and even work their way into the small intestine. Sugar from our diet feeds yeast, and with the special Lactobacillus acidophilus bacteria wiped out of existence, they're the ones that make the lactic acid. There's no more production of lactic acid to protect the delicate intestinal and vaginal tissues from marauding yeast. It's a scientific fact that when yeast cells reach a certain critical mass, they change from a round budding stage to a thread-like tissue invasive stage. They're simply running out of food and looking for more. They pack their bags and migrate from their main home in the large intestine into the small intestine. And there, the yeast threads poke holes in the intestinal lining and create a superhighway into the bloodstream. And there's nothing to stop the yeast's chemical byproducts, all 178 of them. Also, nothing is stopping the undigested food molecules, bacterial toxins, and other chemicals from taking a one-way ride into the bloodstream. The holes are not necessarily big enough to allow yeast organisms to get into the bloodstream, so there's no blood infection of yeast, just vast quantities of waste products that should be flushed down the toilet that end up causing head-to-toe symptoms when they leak into the blood. That's the definition of leaky gut, when toxins leak into the bloodstream and tissues of the body. So when the toxins hit the bloodstream, they trigger widespread inflammatory and allergic reactions. Many yeast toxins like aldehydes, alcohol, zymosan, arabinitol, and gliotoxin have been named. They impair the immune system and the central nervous system. Others block thyroid function and impair female hormones and cause symptoms of PMS. They aggravate menopause, but I don't think any of them have been properly studied. Inflammation is being investigated as underlying cause of heart disease, bowel disease, arthritic conditions, autoimmune disease. It's also intimately involved with weight gain, fatigue, allergies, asthma, headaches, irritability, and dozens of other health complaints. But medicine doesn't even acknowledge that yeast toxins play a role in the creation of inflammation. The bottom line, yeast overgrowth will cause the immune system to overwork trying to deal with this toxic overload. The stress of inflammation also triggers the adrenal glands, which raise cortisol levels, making weight gain another casualty of inflammation. You can't lose weight when your cortisol levels are high due to chronic stress. That's because the body perceives stress as an emergency, and the worst emergency for the body is starvation. Therefore, it's never going to give up an ounce of stored fat that it might need in starvation times. So that's the blog. What do we do for yeast? We manage it with Flora Revive and Pico Silver. There is a book, a free download at drcarolyndean.com called Reset the Yeast Connection. And, when I was first writing about yeast and talking about it over the years, it was this very strict diet and rotating antifungals. And, it was a lot of complexity. And it was very hard for anybody to really manage, because there was so much involved and there was so much strictness. I mean, I remember a time when I wouldn't eat any fruit, any carbs, any sugars, of course. And if I wanted something that, looked very delicious, I would just smell it and I would live with the smell. That was it. And so I know a lot of people are in that boat. And a couple of years ago, I started looking at how to treat yeast and not make it so all-consuming a protocol. And that's where I came up with the yeast management. You'll see it at the front of the Reset the Yeast Connection book. And I talk about, going on, kind of strict diet, but not a fanatic strict diet. And taking Flora Revive, which is an antifungal plus a probiotic, and Pico Silver, which is an incredible antifungal. And the reason why I put an antifungal, it's Saccharomyces cerevisiae. No, is it? No, Burlardi, Saccharomyces burlardi. And it's a well-known kind of natural antifungal. And I do that, and people can take it on a daily basis and sort of balance out their diet, so that if they're growing a bit of yeast with their diet by just living a normal life, then the Flora Revive will help keep the yeast population under control. So it's a nice balance that we set. And what we learned from our testimonials from folks who tell us about the product. I'll give you a few of those. Kay says, I'm sure it's doing this job of keeping down yeast overgrowth. Antibiotics usually do a number on me. I was recently on a 1-week round of antibiotics. I continued to take 2 of the Flora Revive every day while taking the antibiotics and felt no ill effects of the antibiotic. For many months, I used Dr. Dean's yeast protocol of daily psyllium and antifungal herbs. They kept yeast overgrowth at bay at a time when I was undergoing a lot of antibiotic treatment, but they are no fun to take. Otherwise, and then she's saying, however, Flora Revive is great. I have found that I'm able to cheat occasionally by enjoying a piece of dessert, and that's with no sign of yeast overgrowth. I'm very happy. Thank you for a great product. So, that's someone who's just reinforcing what I was saying about why I created the Flora Revive. Maura says, so grateful to find something to address yeast, especially from such a trusted, pure, and reputable source. I've been using several of your products for several years, and customer service has always been excellent as well. Very, very happy to have found more great content on your other website recently, and that must be drcarolyndeanlive.com. Enjoy the short videos too. And then someone is saying Pico Silver rocks. I have a huge problem with yeast overgrowth and have noticed a significant difference in my eczema. I've also been rubbing the Pico Silver on my gums after brushing my teeth to help with bacteria. I've I've been swabbing my dog's gums as well and have noticed a decrease in tartar on his teeth. My cat has had problems with dirty ears, even though she's an indoor cat. I've been soaking a cotton ball and rubbing the inside of her ears. I use it daily in my Remag water, and I'm also putting a capful in my pet's water. Very pleased at the results I've encountered. So I'm giving Pico Silver a big yay and a thumbs up. That's Catherine. Rebecca says, I noticed within a few days the junk that Realign was cleaning out of my body. My waste smelled toxic. I'm satisfied with this product and will continue to purchase it as it has helped my yeast overgrowth. Along with diet and vitamins and minerals, I feel I'm on the way to recovery and no longer considering antidepressants. I will continue to use this product and I recommend it to everyone I know. And Joseph is saying, I've tried a large variety of probiotics during this past decade. None of them had any noticeable effect. I saw no improvement in that until I tried Flora Revive. I was surprised to notice an improvement in how my gut felt within a few minutes. I first thought this to be the placebo effect. Next morning, I had the same noticeable improvement in my gut feeling. I've now been taking it for a month. My bowels have been regular, unlike any previous month in my life. I don't mean to overstate the benefits to me that this product has brought. Well, you can overstate them, Joseph. Gut issues seem to be in my family. Genetics, it's truly great to finally be regular. Okay, that's great. And Chantel is saying this product is the best gut reset I've ever tried. For the first time in my life, I am not constantly constipated. Feel much better. I have more energy as a result. I highly recommend Flora Revive. Christine says, these products have made a huge difference in my health. I can tell the difference and could not live without them. Having a healthy liquid to sip on all day feels good. It's good to have trust in where I get my products. I was definitely not getting enough minerals. Also taking Flora Revive, which has completely changed my gut. I love Dr. Dean, and she's a hero in my book. And Mary says, when I remember to take Flora Revive, I find it very helpful. As a person who was on heavy antibiotics for a full year, I know my gut benefits from periodic tune-ups. So that's the testimonials. And, you know, they really are, it's wonderful to hear how well people are doing. Actually, yeah, I have even a testimonial that someone videoed. But let me just, I'll go to the questions. There's some good questions here. Malia says, I just got your email about the show tonight. Good timing. I've been having a lot of symptoms. My doctor did a stool sample showing I have major Candida overgrowth. I was on an IV antibiotic for an infection, then I developed Candida. My doctor also tested me for heavy metals. I have some of those to get rid of. He tested me for mold, which shows I have 65 times the upper limit of black mold. I also did the RBC magnesium test, and it showed me at 4.2, which is low. My doctors say I need to get my mitochondrial function up to better deal with this and then start the antifungals. My question is, will magnesium help my mitochondrial function? Should it help it to function better so I can better rid my body of these toxins? Thanks. Well, hopefully you're listening, Malia, because there's a lot here. Hopefully when you listen to me talk about our yeast management, that you can just go ahead and use the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver without waiting on that. I don't know why your doctor would say you have to get something built up before you can do an antifungal. It may be that it's a very strong antifungal, don't know. As for the mitochondria, absolutely magnesium is essential for mitochondrial function. The main function in the mitochondria is the Krebs cycle. and 6 of the 8 steps in the Krebs cycle require magnesium. So it's absolutely going to help. It'll help your energy. So I don't know what, if any of our products you are on already, but you can get in touch with customer service to get on a protocol. I would say it would be Remag, Remite, Reline, and then the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver. That's what I would be taking for what you're describing. And even the heavy metals, the L-methionine is designed to support the production of glutathione that will help to detoxify heavy metals. And it's interesting because of the black mold. Well, mold and yeast cross-react. We've had a lot of instances of people whose yeast just won't go away, and then we may get into the mold at the beginning of a discussion with our customers, but sometimes people don't realize they have mold. Anything leaking down your wall underneath the sink, any leaks can lead to mold that then you'll be inhaling. So what I do about mold is I make sure someone gets a little ozone machine in their, put them in a different room every day for even just 15, 20 minutes. You plug it in, you shut the door, and then the ozone will start killing the mold once you get rid of the origin of the mold. On YouTube, I came across a 1-minute testimonial by Justin, and look what he says. My magnesium miracle started back in 2016. I was exposed to black mold in a house I was living in, and it caused my stress response to spiral. My central nervous system felt like it was on fire all the time. I was doing a postdoc, and I eventually resigned and spent 1.5 years experimenting with different vitamins, supplements, and herbs. Eventually, I came upon Remag thanks to a recommendation from a practitioner friend of mine. Let me go back there. Basically, the Remag had a very calming anti-anxiety effect, and it allowed me to get out of bed and get back to life. And now, even though I'm working from home, I have a good job and everything, and I really owe all that to Remag. So thank you for a great product. So that was pretty cool. So just a couple of questions I'll get to right now. Anne is saying, I've experienced keratosis pilaris on my upper arms pretty much since my teens and 20s. And when you look at the definition of this keratosis, it's a skin condition caused by dry, rough patches caused by tiny bumps that there's no pain, no itching, but just these tiny bumps on your upper arms, usually the back of the upper arm. I had it. So Anne says, I'm now 62, so she's had it since her teens and 20s. Now in the last year or two, it has spread to my chest, abdomen, and upper back. I've always wondered if my skin issues were related to yeast overgrowth. Do you think there's a connection? Now, what's interesting is right around the time I was putting together the Flora Revive, I think I started putting the Remag lotion on my upper arms. So now I would have been putting the Remag lotion on my upper arms before the Flora Revive, and it got rid of my keratosis pilaris. But if, as Anne said, it's spreading elsewhere, it could be related to yeast as well. Any weird rashes on the skin, if you also have yeast overgrowth symptoms, they will be related to the yeast toxins coming out on the skin. And what you'll do with Reset the Yeast Connection, the free ebook, is go to the Candida questionnaire and fill that out and see your scores and see if you really do have yeast overgrowth. Now, This person is saying, I get urinary tract infections a lot. I'm 71 and still get them. Also, I'm hurting down there and don't have sex anymore because of the pain and irritation, I'm sure. Now, what's interesting there is when you have urinary tract infections, you're given a lot of antibiotics. And what you would do is go to our Future Health Now encyclopedia. I don't think it's a free ebook anymore. I think we had to take it off because I was making too many recommendations, and our lawyer didn't think the FDA would like it. So you can get the Future Health Now encyclopedia on Amazon. And there's a section called bladder infections. And actually, you can call customer service and they can excerpt that for you and just email it to you. But I start off with the most common trigger for bladder infections in women is intercourse, during which the urethra can be trapped and irritated. But then it gets to a point, as this listener is saying, that she can't have sex anymore because everything is so irritated. So there's a fair amount of information here in terms of what's going on at this point. There's probably also a lot of yeast irritation. So I would be thinking of a yeast overgrowth, yeast management for this person. And the homeopathic that goes with bladder irritation that affects intercourse is Staphysagria. And the total biology of the bladder is not being able to mark your territory. And this is fascinating. Here's the story that my teacher told us. And the examples are often from the animal kingdom, because they do things just kind of, naturally. A dog makes more urine so he can mark his territory. If he can't mark it the way he wants to, how can he resolve that problem? The dog has a garden to mark and gets out 3 times a day. He realizes there's another dog coming out at the same time, and this is a conflict for him. And his brain will say, let's produce more urine, and we'll mark it, my territory, so well that will be respected. The brain will produce an irritation of the bladder and stretch it to be able to hold more. After a couple of weeks, he's better equipped and he solves his problem by making more urine. When he stops this expansion of the bladder and it goes into repair, this will create a bladder infection in the repair phase. So in women, the example our teacher gave was a woman has a second baby and her mother wants to come and help. After several days, there's too much pressure from her being there. She's invading the new mother's territory. After a week, she wants her mother to leave. After she leaves, the woman develops cystitis. So this is her getting her territory back, and then she develops the symptoms of the bladder being repaired. So it's quite fascinating. I just say to people, well, you're marking your territory by whatever's happening with your bladder. Just quickly on to the second last question. How can a 76-year-old, 84-pound woman gain weight when fighting Candida? I've been fighting it for several years, but weight steadily went down. And this is from Penny. Well, this is where I got into using the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver and a modified diet, because yes, when you are very strict on yeast in your diet, then you don't get much of any carbohydrates, which will give you the calories. So you may find it helpful to expand your diet somewhat and take the Flora Revive and Pico Silver. That's what I would do. And Sharon is asking, are eczema and psoriasis symptoms of yeast overgrowth, and absolutely, psoriasis even has its own toxin called zymogen, Zymogen, that I write about. So definitely, when I hear about psoriasis, I think about yeast overgrowth automatically. So Ginny, I have completed my input for this section of the program. Would you like to comment?
Yes, I would. And the thing that I would like to say is I love everything you said, but I want to go back to realign for a minute because realign is so good. We used to have a post, I don't know where it is now, about acetaldehyde. What do you say that?
Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah.
And how realign detoxes that. And then so many of the yeast toxins generate that. And that would be one of the reasons why maybe that person thought realign was so good for their yeast. But I think, I was just sitting here thinking about this, I'm not a doctor, that we should put realign with Flora Revive and Pico Silver.
Oh, right. Yeah, that passed my mind too, that there were a number of comments, and it does some amazing things. Right. Okay.
And I know for a fact, because I just got back from vacation, that realign is amazing. It is amazing when it comes to alcohol, which is acetaldehyde, right?
Yeah, it breaks down into that, right?
And that's the principle behind the yeast, is they're actually detoxing the same kind of alcohol that alcohol is.
Oh yeah, if I'm writing the men's book now, and I found that little testimonial by Justin, put it in the men's book, and talk about alcohol. If you're drinking alcohol and you already have yeast overgrowth, you will be a cheap drunk. It only takes one drink to kind of get you high, and that's your tip off that you have yeast overgrowth.
Yes, unless you take 15 realign before you start drinking, like I always do, because I don't want to suffer. But yeah, no, I agree. It aggravates what you already have got going on. And it's interesting because people say, quote unquote, the older they get, the less alcohol tolerant that they get. But probably the older they get, the more yeast overgrowth they have. And they're just tolerating it at a higher level because they've carried it around with them for so long, type of a thing.
Yeah, all that, definitely. And we did magnesium came up a bit in there, but magnesium and the remite are very important. When we find with our customers that when they start on Remag, that as their detoxification pathways start pumping up and their body is starting to cleanse and whatever, people will say, oh my gosh, I think I have yeast. But what it is the Remag is starting to kill off the yeast, and then the yeast toxins are building up and coming out in the skin, the urine, your eyes are itchy, ears are itchy, and all the rest of it. We just say, yay, you're detoxing. Take some Pico Silver and Flora Revive and some Realign to help your detox.
Yes, and I think that's also what happens. We've talked about that before, is that keto flu, where people stop feeding the sugar and they go through their own detox withdrawal kind of a thing. Yeah.
It's all kind of so obvious when you're able to see that the body is affected by mineral deficiencies and yeast overgrowth, and it just boggles us on a daily basis that medicine has completely ignored both yeast overgrowth and magnesium deficiency. It just boggles. and the long COVID business, and even just the COVID itself. If we, well, our customers on their vitamin D and vitamin C and zinc and Remag, all that, they, our customers just sailed through maybe little minor infections. I'm sure there are people that had worse symptoms, and we just kept telling them, just take more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then there's a lot of people who haven't had anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't need to. You don't need to participate. It is voluntary. You don't need to participate with this global experiment, people. But that's another radio show. Anyway, okay, so let's see where we're at. We've got phone calls tonight that we want to take, and people want to talk to Dr. Dean. And let me just say that the number 646-558-8656 then comes with the ID number 8836953587. And that number's on our YouTube live channel. A lot of people tuned in tonight. We've got a lot of people tuning in through our email system and at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. The number and the access code are there. Carol's asking Diana if the Pico Silver helped your ear issues. So please let her know, Diana, on that. And then
that was her pussycat's ear.
Yes.
Yeah, what she said, I did skip over that sentence. She said it, after doing it, there was no more dirt in her ears. So who knows what was in the ears, but she said it did. I don't think the cat was having problems. It's just that she saw weirdness. I mean, cats, I take a cotton ball with Pico Silver down on my hotel walk, or beach walk, I should say. And there's cat there, Rusty. We think he's about 20 years old, and he started to have a little discharge. And I swabbed his eyes with it, and whatever, it's gone. And I take a look at his ears, but I don't know. I think it's kind of icky going into cats' ears. There's something weird about it. Do you do with your Miss B? Do you do anything with her ears?
Yeah, you just have to do what they, with a cat, especially if Rusty will let you, but you just literally take that cotton ball, and all you're trying to do is get it as close to their ears as you can. It just depends on how willing they are to let you touch them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what Catherine said is, my cat has had problems with dirty ears, even though she's an indoor cat. So I've been soaking a cotton ball, rubbing the inside of her ears, ... haven't seen any dirt, ! So I kind of didn't know exactly what she meant by that, because I don't have a cat. I don't have ears to practice on. But do cats get dirty ears? What is that?
Well, they get yeast. They get yeast in their ears. So do dogs, especially dogs and that are exposed to a lot of humidity, or the hunting dogs, all the big breeds that are in the water a lot. They get a lot of yeast in their ears, and so that attracts the dirt. And they also get mites, mites, which look like yeast, but those are little tiny parasites. And so either way, treating a dog's ears and paws with Pico Silver would be very beneficial, because it will cut down on that yeast. Right. And yeah.
So what do you think of that keratosis pilaris, those bumps on the upper arms? Do you know what I'm talking about there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was a Remag lotion, but I'm also sure that the yeast can aggravate it. The reason why I had it was probably due to, my long-standing yeast overgrowth, because of my love of sugar. I'm a sugar lover.
Aren't we all? Do you think Bazilli's asking, do you think Pico Silver can help with vertigo?
Well, we talk about vertigo a lot. It can be the little hair cells in the ear they have calcium crystals on them. They do help our balance, and I think those hair cells can get extra calcified if you don't have enough magnesium. And so I tell people just oral magnesium, but maybe once or twice a week, you can drop some Remag into the ears. But if you think it's related, the vertigo is related maybe to earwax, you might have to flush out the ears with water. I just use a 10 cc syringe on Bob. And if you think it's some sort of yeast, I would be putting in Pico Silver. And you can put in Pico Silver straight. Remag you can put in straight, but it can, that's why I say once or twice a week, because if you do it every day, it can irritate. So maybe the Remag you could dilute with saline or just water.
Very good.
There's a lot I do. I mean, I've done all these things. As Ginny keeps saying, I keep practicing on myself. I practice medicine without a license on myself.
You guys, Dr. Dean has a medical license. Don't worry. She's just making a joke. All right. They're like, oh no. Oh my God.
But my license is in California. I would have to go to California to treat myself.
There you go. That's a better way to say it. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Very good. So welcome again to the show. Our first hour was almost under our belt. Thank you for holding, those who've been holding as we've been merrily chitty-chatting along. We've got some raised hands here, and we will pick those up right after the top of the hour because, of course, our amazing producer, Rachel, has to take us through this veritable litany of ads and different things, and then we will come back. If you're on the phone right now and you want to talk to Dr. Dean, *9 on the phone, and that'll raise your hand here and we'll put you on the phone right after we come back. Now let's see, anything else we need to say in the last minute? Doug and Melody Rose are here tonight. Carolyn,
nice.
Yes,
very sweet. Oh, I know. And all our people. I was thinking the other day about Doug, how we caught him buying products out of his own pocket to give to customers. I mean, that is just too much. It's too precious. And was it a couple of weeks ago, somebody was saying, well, Julie wasn't able to blah, blah, blah. And this person had been asking, outright medical questions that, we can't answer. What it was is the customer who was on the show said that her doctor recommended her to do this, that, and the other thing. And it was a naturopathic type natural medicine doctor. And then this customer went to Julie and said, well, what do you think? And we just can't get involved. We are just not going to be the people that say, well, you can't do what your doctor said. You have to do what we say. So people really do have to understand that, take responsibility for going to a doctor, getting a holistic diagnosis, kind of understanding it, look at what we advise, which is all written down in 22 free ebooks. You can find the answers, but you can't really sort of push our customer service into giving medical information or getting us to say that what your doctor's is doing is wrong. I will do that. Actually, I will do that on the show, but the naturopathic doctors, I mean, they're in their business, they are doing what they do with what they know, but sometimes those aren't, they don't correlate with what we do. We do it better. We do it better.
And there comes the sharpest machete out. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with hour 2. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned. Second hour is always the best hour. Everybody knows that.
Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginny Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RNAreset.com to learn more. That's RNARESET.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
All righty, everybody. Welcome back. Hour 2 live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Just a quick reminder to everybody who's listening to this in the rear view mirror, whether you're listening to a podcast or an archive of any kind, just know that if you hear something on the show and you're not certain about it, or you have a question for Dr. Dean, please email questions. That's questions questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And the lovely Melody Rose, who is the personal scribe of Dr. Dean, will certainly get your email and try to answer it herself. And if she feels she needs some assistance from Dr. Dean, she will connect you with her. So you've got that research always, always, and always. And we thank Melody Rose for all of her dedication to the radio show. She's been with us for many, many years, quite the knowledgeable soul, and has a great way of working with our customers. So she helps Dr. Dean edit all of her books. So she's got, or not edit, but I don't know, format or whatever the words are, but she's very good. She knows a lot, so you can rely on her.
Proofing.
Proofing. There you go.
Proofreading. Yes.
Proofreading.
And giving me comments. Yeah. I mean, I like to know what customer service thinks of what I'm saying, and that Melody Rose can kind of funnel information to me that she gets from customer service. So it's all about educating our customers.
Yes, exactly. Yep, absolutely. All righty. So let's go to our phone calls. We've got people here on the phone. Again, if you're on the line or want to call in, 646-558-8657. And you've got to put in the ID 8836953587. It's all spelled out on our YouTube channel and also here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And then when you get into the call, like for example, area code 667, we will call on you and we will say, hey, 667, unmute your phone by responding to the blue button on your screen or hitting *6. Either one will work. And then we'll bring you into the call and let you talk with Dr. Dean. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So you answered probably my first question. I'm pretty sure that I have yeast overgrowth. Back lots of years ago, I went through many courses of antibiotics for sinus infections. The last year that I did, I went through 10 courses of tetracycline in a year. Finally quit that, discovered vitamin C, been doing between 6,000 and 10,000 milligrams of C for 45 years. Currently, I do about 20,000 milligrams just because of my job and things I'm exposed to. But my other question is then, with treatment, I finally decided I needed to do something about this. Went to talk to a doctor who has been doing pretty much the same thing for probably 50 years. Does nystatin, the yeast-free, sugar-free, fruit-free diet, that sort of thing. I tried it. The truth is, I don't think I can live with that.
Yeah. Right.
So I was listening to what you were saying about the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver. Is that a good place to start? Are there other things that I should do for treatment? I mean, this is probably a pretty vague question. I don't mean to.
No, it's a good question. And yeah, that was my frustration too. What's your first name?
Is Marty.
Marty. Hi, Marty. That was my frustration with yeast. And yes, I could have said in my introduction about yeast overgrowth that a lot of people who are treated for chronic sinus infections they have to develop yeast because they're given so many antibiotics because the sinuses are so kind of embedded. The mucous membranes are deep. There's so many layers of inflammation. It's hard to get an antibiotic in there. And what we do with sinus infections is get people to snort Pico Silver. I don't know if you still have symptoms, but that's what I do to keep the yeast out of my sinuses. And certainly, a modified diet. You're not going to go binging on alcohol and desserts every night, but the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver are, safe and effective, and they are a starting point. The book Reset the Yeast Connection, I do go into all details of detoxifying with psyllium and bentonite clay and rotating antifungals, but I can't prescribe nystatin over the phone or anything, but yeah, that was my go-to when I was doing yeast treatment in my practice. And I find that the Flora Revive and Pico Silver do much better.
Nice. That's encouraging to know. Because I'm also concerned about the die-off reaction that that I've heard other
Ah,
people talk about with nystatin and stuff. And it's like, I
right.
really don't want to have to deal with that.
No, because you already feel yucky and you don't want to feel worse yucky. But what's cool about the Pico Silver, I write about it in a free ebook at drcarolyndeanlive.com. It stops the Herxheimer reaction. Pico Silver somehow is able, I don't know if it does it through detoxification or what it does, but it neutralizes the Herxheimer reaction of that you can get with die-off. So that makes it even doubly wonderful. So yeah, it'd be interesting to find out how you find your reaction to the protocol, Marty.
I'll keep you guys posted. One other quick question, it's in relation to this same thing. One of the things that this doctor does, and he's a really big proponent of, is coffee enemas, supposedly to cleanse your liver. Is that a good thing to do?
I like coffee enemas. Myself, I do. My husband and my husband actually got into them. We do at least one a week. Sometimes I do too many because I'm pretty sure I'm getting a coffee high off them. But for me, they're kind of cool. But it's something I might have gotten it when I did a week at the Gerson Institute down in San Diego, because they're big on several coffee enemas a day, I think. But it's for really toxic people. I don't know that, I don't know anything about your situation, but, I tend to think if you're doing your vitamin C, I think you probably have good bowel movements. You don't have to worry about a toxic liver. But coffee enemas are safe, but don't get addicted to them like I have.
Yeah, the caffeine would be nice. I like the caffeine rush. Stimulants are a good thing.
I know, it's so funny. And when people say, "Hey, do you want a coffee?" I'll just say, "No, I never get into drinking coffee. I just do coffee enemas." And yeah.
I was on Adderall a little while for ADD and had to come off of it, but absolutely love amphetamines. I know they're really bad for you, and this is not a good thing.
I know.
But the mild euphoria along with the stimulation is like, wow, this is so good.
But we have people saying to us with the Remag, they get that. They don't need their coffee in the morning. They don't need a push. I mean, I don't know how people stay away from coffee because it's everywhere. It's like Starbucks on every corner. Everything you read, see, talk about people drinking coffee. It is such a drug. But as I said, when people get saturated with our Remag, they bounce out of bed in the morning. They have good energy. Are you on any of our products, Marty?
Actually, I had bought the Remag, and I held off on it for a while. I was doing all of the things that this doctor wanted me to do, which was the Sony 7 and 9, and trying the coffee enemas, and trying the diet, and doing a bunch of other nutritional things. And I felt terrible. So I just backed off of all of it. So I'm starting to go back into things. And the more I'm reading, the Remag sounds like a really, really good thing to do. I had the good sense to buy your book, The Magnesium Miracle, probably about a year ago or something. To be honest, I just started reading it because it's like, wow, because of my ADD, I have a really hard time staying focused on one thing for a long period of time.
Right.
So sitting down and reading a book is difficult, but the bits and pieces that I've gotten, especially the radio show, is really good. This is definitely things I need to do, and I'm convinced that this will really help quite a bit, along with doing something about the yeast. It's way overdue.
I mean, you'll make a great correspondent, Marty, because you've been through so much. You're on top of it. It would be great for you to slowly get into the products and report in and tell us how you're doing, because the ADD will be affected. It will, in a positive way.
That. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I know that it's a biochemical imbalance of some sort that And I know my adrenals are affected because after I had to stop taking the Adderall, I couldn't function. And I ran across the adrenal fatigue website.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the supplements for that, and did those for about 2 years. And they really did help. They weren't all I needed, but I definitely could notice a difference. So I know my adrenals are involved, which means maybe thyroid is too, don't really know. But, you know, and the truth is, I'm 67. I've reached the point in my life where I'm tired of trying to figure this all out myself. I've been doing this for years and years and years. And this is helpful, like listening to folks like yourself and whatever, that I can glean much better information from and get some good ideas of where to go instead of guessing all the time and hopefully getting things right.
Yeah, and I've been out at this for decades and decades and decades, and I do try to make it simple. Certainly, yeah, when you have ADD anyway, your adrenals are going to be firing, and the Adderall, that doesn't help. Thyroid will get knocked off if the adrenals, it's like a tripod, the adrenals, thyroid, and sex hormones. And what I do for the thyroid is our Remite multiple mineral. 9 of the 12 minerals in Remite support thyroid hormone production. So that just focuses directly on the thyroid. Plus it does everything else that the 12 minerals do. So yeah, I've been at it for a long time, and I've tried to figure out how to put together things for the body at the cellular level so that it has the building blocks and then it takes care of itself. Well,
I muchly appreciate it. As far as the supplements go, so I'm definitely going to do the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver. Okay to do the Remite and the Remag all at the same time, kind of introduce them all at the same time, or should I be a little more gradual?
Well, they're in the printed material you'll get. I'll bring in Ginny to find out exactly what we're sending out right now. We tell people to slowly build up on the Remite and the Remag and Remite, starting with hydration with sea salt in your drinking water and drinking enough so that the body is hydrated and can detox. So Ginny, what do we send out to people? She's unmuting. She's multitasking behind the scenes.
I still wish I could multitask. Wow.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll get you there.
Yeah.
We'll get you there. So Ginny, what is Marty going to receive?
When he does, I'm sorry?
Oh, interested, of course, in the yeast detox with the Pico Silver Floral Revive, wondering if he can start the Remag and Remite all at the same time. And I said, well, we send out printed material that talks about how to slowly introduce the Remag, especially because it can be a detox. Well, it's not a detoxifier, Marty, but what happens if people take one dose of it all at once, they can force a bit of a laxative effect because they're overloading their cells. So what will Marty receive, Ginny?
He's going to get the protocol spelled out about how to do that titrated dosing. And so he would start with the Flora Revive and the Pico Silver, like you said, and then he'd get into that for a couple days. And then he would start with the 1/4 teaspoon of Remag and then add slowly into the protocol. So, the other thing, Marty, is you can start by using it on your skin, and you could actually rub it on your abdomen and other areas around your chest. You don't have to, get too much of it going all at the same time. You can, but it just depends on your threshold of tolerance. But you could definitely use it on your neck. You can use it on your abdomen. You can use it on your forehead if you feel like you've got a place where you've got movement or swelling or anything else like that. So you could start to use that topically. And then Remite people don't have as much problem with. But again, going back to the thing that Carolyn was saying earlier about caffeine, you start a 1/4 teaspoon of that Remite and start to build that up. Remite is like amazing energizer. So it will give you incredible energy. That's how I actually stopped drinking coffee, was to start using Remite back in 2013. So you can definitely, you'll get all those instructions, and then you'll get the support of our customer service team. So as you start to integrate that in and start to have it, the experience of recovery, and then also wanting to accelerate it, then you can call and talk to anybody on our team, and they'll be able to help you.
Wonderful. So what do I need to do to start to get this info?
Get the
that
info.
you were just talking about.
Yep, or the products. Well, you can.
Well, products I will definitely order, but go ahead.
The info is all in the Reset Your Yeast Overgrowth book. Chapter 6 is, I think, one of the first chapters, is the most critical chapter as far as going through the whole protocol and how to use all the different tools that Dr. Dean's recommended.
Perfect. Thank you. I already downloaded the book.
Okay. And then again, if you have any questions, you can just reach out to Melody Rose at questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com, because she's here on the call tonight and she's heard your call, your interaction. She transcribes all the radio shows, but she is a major conqueror of yeast in her own life, and she has helped many, many of our customers. She's almost like our resident yeast overgrowth detox expert. So you could definitely avail yourself of her resource and her wisdom. Melody
Rose.
Yeah, that would probably, Marty, that would probably be the way to go, because you specifically know what you want to achieve with getting rid of this yeast, but then we're talking about all the other products. So it would be good for you to speak to someone. And our product site is rnareset.com. And, you can speak to customer service before or after you get the products, but they're, the FDA doesn't let us write about the products and what they can do on our sales website. But that's why we have the free ebooks and then the wonderful customer service. Because, what we find is if a person can call in at the beginning and, get their questions answered, boom, they're off to the races, rather than sort of stumbling around. Because, we'll have people say, well, I tried it last year and it didn't work, and I thought maybe I'd come back. No, we want people to phone us like on day one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
The thing about yeast overgrowth is you just really don't know what it is until you don't have it anymore. And then when you realize what a drain it was on your energy and all the rest of that kind of stuff, and what brain fog you had, and the swelling and the inflammation in your joints and all the digestive issues, and even, I think a lot of this is my own personal speculation, the heart rhythm issues and AFib are all related to that. And we already know the thyroid is. Carolyn talks a lot about that. It's just truly, truly total body meltdown. And so it is difficult to get through the first couple weeks, because you are going through that detox. And Carolyn talks about, it's like the Borg and they want to take over. And there is a big fight for them to biologically, there's an imperative for them to continue to fight for their liveliness in the host that you are. And so they do put up a little bit of a fight, which is why it's so important to do something that's very comprehensive. But the more determined you are, you'll create that breakthrough for yourself. And boy, when you get there, you feel really good.
That sounds so wonderful, because I've probably had this for 40 or 50 years, most likely.
Oh my, yeah.
So
and
to feel good. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, yes, you're saying to feel good would be, marvelous. But yes, men don't often get told they have yeast. So they kind of stumble around, think just taking more drugs for their symptoms, basically, or self-medicating, or I wonder how much of the ADD is yeast, because there are so many yeast toxins, and they can, and Ginny mentioned brain fog, but you're in this push-pull where some of the toxins are bringing you down and some of the toxins are speeding you up. And how does a person cope with that? And medically, we don't know about it. And allopathic medicine for sure doesn't know about it. They poo-poo yeast infection. They just say it's a fad. And it's really so frustrating, because anybody who takes any amount of antibiotics is going to throw off their intestinal flora and cause yeast overgrowth. And antibiotics are given, like candy, so that we're all suffering. So yeah, it's great to talk to you about it. I know we're having a longer call with you, but it's really imperative that men understand what's going on with their bodies.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing too is, the other thing is, for sure, call into the show, Marty, because we've got the radio show audience that will support you energetically. You can talk to Dr. Dean and tell us how you've done through your first week. I know a lot of people who avail of the radio show, especially when they're going through their beginning phase of starting up and making this transition. It's really important. Like, for example, Tom's typing in and he's saying, suggest to Marty he doesn't need to read the book from start to finish. Just have him use the index to find the sections that are of the most interest to him and start out with those.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's like hurry up and get started, Marty.
like he read my mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this and going, wow, it's a 248-page book. Oh no.
Well, actually, even in the introduction, I know all that. I know about brain fog and yeast overgrowth. So at the beginning, I put the yeast management. This is what you do. Boom. And if you want to have it explained, then read further. So just look for yeast management. That tells you everything you need to know.
Thank you guys so very much. I tremendously appreciate this.
Oh, you're welcome. Wonderful talking with you, and we'll hear from you again.
Yes.
Thank you kindly. Yes, you will.
Okay. Bye-bye. Rachel, give Marty a yay.
Rachel, give Marty a yay. Did she do it? Thank you, Rachel. Yay,
Thanks.
Marty. That was awesome. Give Marty a yay. Liberty Ninja was asking, Ginny, sometimes I'm asked questions at work because I'm into natural health, and I'm wondering, is there a yeast connection with itchy scalp and dandruff? What protocol do you think would help? Can they use pico silver?
Yeah, itchy scalp, anything itchy, I think of as yeast, but then, how often are they washing their hair? But I mean, just the pico silver and flora revive, I guess. But I don't know obviously I don't know anything else about this person, but have a conversation and say, have you been taking antibiotics, or do you eat a lot of sugar, and maybe it's kind of yeast toxins coming out on your scalp, and this is what you could do. Because there's a lot of dandruff in the world, and people are just told to take, a dandruff shampoo instead of thinking of it as a body-wide problem.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. It's a kind of eczema, I think, on the scalp. I know one of our employees had problems with that. And when they made an adjustment, it started to go away. And the other thing that I think really helps is the omegas for just skin in general.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's so many things. I know it tends to be on the show. People say, oh, what can I do for this? And we just say, oh, do this and that. But the whole protocol is what the body is looking for. Every cell needs the essential fatty acids to create the cell membrane that will keep it healthy, and vitamin D for inflammation. I mean, everything is there. But again, you can read about all these things in the various ebooks.
Yes. We are a society that's addicted to taking a pill, or, whatever our solution is. We don't like to necessarily go to root cause. We like to go to, what can I just be done to get rid of this? So, but I agree with Carolyn. A lot of times it really is systemic. When anything's coming out through your skin, that's kind of no bueno, right, Carolyn?
Right. And although, we do offer pills as solutions, but that came about when I spent a couple of years doing my, what is it? 120. How many modules did I have in my?
It's 102, 104.
104 modules that people bought into this system where every month they got a module to explain this and that and everything about health. And it came at a time, it was actually the 2008, the big, whatever financial crisis. And people said, I don't have time to read anymore. Just tell me what to do. And then when I would say, well, you need this and that and the other, and then we couldn't trust the sources. For that and many other reasons, I got into producing these products, for which I'm very grateful. I never thought I'd do it, but people just want to know what's safe and effective, and that's what by the grace of God and nature we've been able to create.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's press on with some more phone calls. Got a couple people waiting here, just a few more minutes and maybe 20 minutes left in the show. So let's do area code 707. I'm sending you the blue button. Hit *6 to unmute your phone, area code 707.
Jenny, we have a whole half hour left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my clock said 8:38. You're right. It's only 8:30. Okay, very good. We do have it. All right, more time. More people call in, but still you've got to unmute your phone, area code 707. Respond to the blue button or hit *6 on your phone. Area code 707. Otherwise, I'll have to swing back around and put somebody else on. All right. Let's talk to area code 562. Oh, there came 707 just in the nick of time. Hello, hello.
Hi, Dr. Dean. Hi, Jenny. This is Linda.
Oh, hey, Linda.
Oh, hi, Linda. Go ahead.
Hi.
Wow.
Okay, so I have yeast overgrowth. I have whitish tongue and sore, achy joints, fatigue, weight gain, swollen tummy, all of that. I am doing the 1 teaspoon of Pico. I'm doing 3 Flora. I'm on all the products. I take 3 Reoline. I'm wondering how much I can bump up in order to get on top of this.
Well, I would be taking 3 Pico, but how different are you? Are you better, or are you going through detox? What's going on?
It seems to be just hanging in there. I went on your protocol a while back and got better, started to incorporate more foods into my diet, and then I'm kind of back where I was. I am eating fruit, so maybe I need to cut down on that for a while till I get on top of it. But I thought with the 2 Flora in the morning and the 1 in the evening, I could kind of correct the situation, but it's not correcting yet.
Right. Well, the Pico Silver may be the key that you're getting detox, Herxheimer, and that's sort of keeping the symptoms going. But I mean, it seems to me you should be better in what you're doing. So let's look at the total biology of yeast. So it is a fungus, and here's the key statement that goes with Candida in terms of conflict. I regret that I didn't express my resentment toward somebody. So there's a regret, there's like a mini grief that's related to yeast. And, yeast makes me think of, lost chances, lost opportunities. I don't know, but that's what the total biology says. So look at grief, regret to see if that's something that you can clear, so that the yeast doesn't have to play that role in the body for you. Does that make any sense?
So that would be like forgiveness kind of work?
I mean, there's forgiveness, but sometimes that still expresses a weakness.
Okay.
You know, I'm into commanding the angels and just stating what I want, and just, you know, getting rid of, you know, people or situations that are causing problems. I would take a stronger
Okay.
stance rather than less humble and more a more overt stance.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Should I keep the flora at 3, or should I increase flora as well?
I think 3 floors enough. I think it would be increasing the pico silver to 3 teaspoons that would help on the physical level.
Okay, thanks. And then my youngest daughter has rapid heart palpitations. One of her eyes got bigger this morning. Swollen thyroid, tremors. She has weakness, fatigue, nausea, gagging reflex. It's been going on for about 3 months now. She had a blood test and they said she had hyperthyroidism. But I wanted to know that maybe this is a bacteria or fungus or something else other than what they're diagnosing her with.
Well, if they're finding high thyroid hormones, then it is an effect of hyperthyroidism. I have some information in my thyroid book. What's it called? The Total Body Reset for the Thyroid. So you can download that at the Dr. Carolyn Dean site. But the thyroid deals with time. So what you look at is why is a person trying to speed up time? Are they speeding it up to get rid of something or somebody, to get somewhere, to get to a conclusion? So people will speed up time and create the hyperness. But the book can give you and your daughter some information, but look at the time factor.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right, here's
all right.
Yeah, let me just see if there's some words here. Somebody has to be quick to take care of something. I don't know if these words will help. If you don't change quickly enough, I will leave you. A woman is pregnant and wants the father to stop drinking. If you don't quit drinking, I'll leave you. And the baby takes on that position. So that's more ancestral. If I'm not quick enough to stop drinking in order to slow down time, I will destroy the part of me that will accelerate things, the thyroid. So that's slowing down the thyroid. You can just create a woman doctor in California. In August, she found out her father was going to die. So she slowed her thyroid down to spend more time with him. I mean, it's just the way the mind interprets a conflict. It's quite fascinating. And I mean, I know you and your daughter are progressives, so that's why I jump right to the conflict, because physically what to do, but then it's to get the conflict dealt with is even more important.
Yes, absolutely. All right, thank you so much. I very much appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome, Linda. Good to hear from you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Here we go. I just typed in hyperthyroid in my 600 pages of total biology notes. A conflict where the cells in the thyroid increase, not being fast enough to get what you need, inability to spit something out. You have to be quick and more effective and faster in order to survive. Immigrants who need to work harder and more than others. It's never enough what they do. They have to push constantly. Okay, so that's fine. Yeah, I think that's enough words. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Linda. Thanks for calling in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, very good. That was great. That was Linda. Oh,
That was Linda with an R. It was.
very sweet, very sweet, very sweet. All right, let's go to area code 562. 562, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. His turn as you, there you are. Whoa.
Hi.
Hello,
It's Nancy.
Nancy.
Oh, hi, Nancy. Okay,
Hi.
what have you got for us today, Nancy?
The first question is, I had some x-rays today, a number of x-rays on my neck. Is there something that I need to do to sort of help eliminate the radiation that I got?
Ah, right. Well, the Remite is going to help because it has iodine that will protect your thyroid. There are homeopathic radiation remedies. I don't know if they've been banned yet, but every once in a while people ask me. I'm looking up now, radiation homeopathic remedy and see what comes up. They have post-radiation cream. You know, for people who've had radiation on their breasts, the Remag lotion is very helpful. I'm trying to find an oral radiation remedy. I know I've given it in the past for people who've had. Okay. Yeah, cadmium sulfuricum is the leading remedy for the side effects of radiation therapy. Now, you know, when they do x-rays, it is putting ionizing radiation into the skin. What I'll do is I'll copy these. I'm not on the chat. Are you on your computer, Nancy, to get something off the chat line?
I'm on my phone.
Okay, so do you have email?
Yes.
So I'll get Ginny to track down your email and send you the URL that I found and the different remedies. But yes, it's good to take something. I have a radiation remedy, but it's an old-timey one. They last forever. Okay, so that's your first question. What else?
Okay, now I'm taking 4.5 teaspoons of Remag, 4 teaspoons of Remite, and 4 teaspoons of potassium. Now, and I'm reducing my thyroid medication. And it seems like I've sort of plateaued. In fact, I took two recently, two TSH blood tests. And one of them was 6.9, and then the next one was 8 point something or other. And so it's moving in the wrong direction. And I know stress has something to do with it, and I've had more than enough stress lately too. Would I want to increase any of that?
I don't think so. You're taking the top amount of all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I thought. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not doing more Flora Revive. I don't know if that will have anything to do with the thyroid. I'm only doing 1 Flora Revive a day. Should I increase that?
Well, it could help because we do know the yeast toxins will block thyroid hormone receptors. So that could be a way to go, as well as, just hold back on weaning yourself for a while until you balance out.
Right. I've just gone straight to 75s regularly instead of doing a 75 and something a little lower.
Yeah.
I will see. Now, how long do I need to take to go before I get tested again, the TSH?
I know. I usually just say to people 3 months, but it sounds like your body shifts quicker than that. 2 to 3 months, right. I would say.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now Jenny's going to make sure I get the homeopathic stuff for that, about the X-ray stuff.
Correct.
Okay. And now there's the question of whether I should pursue an MRI to check to see what's going on with the tumor in my head that, I forgot its name now, that affects balance and hearing and all that stuff. And I got the homeopathic remedy that you said about the galadium. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The heavy metal that they use for contrast when they do MRIs.
Oh, right.
Should I have that? So should I do an MRI to check and see what's going on with that tumor?
When was the last MRI?
At least 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, are you feeling the symptoms from it still? Or
well, the hearing is gone in my right ear, but I'm feeling more unbalanced lately, but I'm not sure whether it might be the thyroid. Can the thyroid make you walk where you feel unbalanced with your walk?
No, not really. So yeah, you should probably get it repeated. Have it's not Meniere's, is it? What?
No,
I
it's
don't.
Shoot, I can't remember the name of. It's on the hearing balance and.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Could infect the right side of your face.
Acoustic
Yes.
neuroma.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so that's a non-cancerous, benign, but it can grow and press on things. Yeah, that's the problem. Is it the type of thing that they would do surgery in your case?
Well, they would if I wanted it to, I guess. But like the main issue most of the time is the hearing. And when they say with the surgery, you're not going to gain any hearing back.
Right. Yeah, we haven't talked about the acoustic neuroma. Would you be interested in talking to the total biology doctor to see why you have a conflict with your hearing and with this tumor?
Okay.
Do you think that would be useful to find out why?
Maybe. I don't know. I never have thought of something like that.
Right. Yeah, because there's, you're doing everything you can, but it's, it's there. I mean, what Dr. Holt does, Dr. David Holt, he's a medical doctor, and, most of us have talked to him. I'm pretty sure he still does, short consultation, without charging to see if he might be useful to a person and if it makes sense for them to do a couple of consultations. So it's Dr. David Holt. What is he? Turnpointhealth.com, Jenny? Turnpoint.
Yep.
Yeah. Turnpointhealth.com. Can you put that down, Nancy? Turnpointhealth.com. And of course, just say, I recommended you to him to have a conversation and see if he might be helpful for your, acoustic neuroma.
Okay.
So that's a step I would do. But yeah, I think your doctor would say after 2 years, if the symptoms are getting a little more pronounced, that they would want to do another MRI. Now, an MRI is not a radiation; it's a magnetic.
Right.
So it's not going to.
But it's got the heavy metal galadium. Am I saying that right? That they use for contrast.
Oh, the Gandolin. What's it called? Gandolin. Right. I think you can get Actually, Dr. Holt would, he does homeopathy as well. He might know the antidote for it.
Well, now you gave me the name of and I have it, of a homeopathic remedy for the I'm calling it Galadium, but whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do I take it after I have had the
I would take a
MRI?
couple doses before and then a couple doses for a week after, a couple doses a day for a week after. Yeah. Gandolinum. Yep.
Candidiasis, that sounds right. Okay, it looked like a little vial. Is that a dose? I mean, do I need to order more?
Has it got pellets in it?
I did not open it up to find out. I mean, I didn't get that far. I ordered 2 of whatever it was, and they're bundled up and wrapped in plastic and tape or something or other. So I'm not real sure what I've got.
And I don't even recall where I would have sent you, but you have to open it up and look. If it's little pellets, then usually the dose is 3 pellets at a time. And if it's a liquid, you could just put a syringe, a little dropper in it, and just take 2 or 3 drops for a dose. Because the way homeopathy works, it's so dilute anyway. You know, a little speck of it is going to be a dose. You're looking for it. I can hear you scrabbling around looking for it.
Now I'm just trying to get the tape off so I can get to the little vial. Do a lot.
Right.
Okay. It'll take just a second. But at least I bought 2 of whatever you told me about.
Yeah. So if it's just a 1 dose vial, you take a dose before the MRI and then take a dose after.
It's little pellets.
Okay. Then 3 little pellets is 1 dose.
Okay.
So you have to be real delicate with them, you know, get a spoon and tip it over and just get the 3 and play with it and do that whole operation over a bowl because those things are tricky.
So you don't spill them.
Exactly. They'll go everywhere. Okay, Nancy.
All right, so I should do a dose before I do the contrast and then, or after. Do I start with the homeopathic thing before or after I have the MRI?
Yeah. Before, the day before, personally, what I would do is take 2 or 3 doses of the 3 pellets. And then after, I would take 2 or 3 doses of the 3 pellets every day for a week.
Daily for a week. Okay. All right. And then I just hang loose and let my thyroid sort of stabilize or something.
That's what
before I try to reduce again.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right,
and then the Dr. Holt think about talking to someone to see, why do I have this thing that's affecting my hearing? Is there something I don't want to hear? What's going on there?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, Nancy. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
We appreciate your input. We really do.
Thanks. Now the homeopathic, the cadmium, what was that for?
Yeah, the cadmium, I didn't think you had a remedy already. Since you have the gadolinium, you're okay. Ginny doesn't have to send you anything.
All right, the gandolin or whatever that is, the G word.
Yeah,
I have the remedy for that for the MRI, but was the cadmium for the X-rays?
That's right. The cadmium sulfuricum was for the X-rays. That's right.
Okay. So Jenny's going to send me something.
I hope so. Yeah. Does she have your email? You might have to phone customer service and say.
Okay.
Yeah, just email Melody Rose, Nancy. Can you email?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, just email Melody Rose at questions, questions at Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. And Melody Rose has it already. I've already forwarded it to her, and she will be able to give it to you right away.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right, love.
Okay. Well, we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to let you go and say goodbye to everyone now, Nancy. You take care, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay.
We got almost all of our calls done. We had one person that was patiently waiting, area code 808 from your neck of the woods, Carolyn. So we'll
maybe it's Lisa and Christy. Lisa and Christy, I'll talk to you tonight.
Yes, maybe it's Lisa and Christy. That'd be
you
great.
Can ask me anything.
That's right. All the professional advice you need.
I can hear them. Yeah, they're laughing down the street. I can hear them.
Wonderful.
Are there any chats left over?
Melody Rose has been handling everybody on the chat line, Patrick and everybody, talking about yeast overgrowth and fast or not to fast and what to do and how to do it. And she's been on there running everybody down and telling them what to do. So I think everybody's good there.
I mean, seriously, yeast is so important and it's just totally neglected. And I remember, back in the day when I was working with Dr. William Crook, I mean, he said that they just about ran him out of town because he brought up the fact that antibiotics were creating this yeast overgrowth and no one was looking at it. And he went to medical meetings and he wrote papers and no one would listen. And then when he put out his first book, The Yeast Connection, they came after him because he made the yeast into a fad, they said. But they wouldn't listen to him when he went to them, showing his research, his clinical research, and yet they attacked him when he went public. So you just can't win when medicine doesn't want to recognize something. They just blackball these doctors.
Well, fortunately, there's one who's not going to blackball anybody, and that's Dr. Dean.
I'm waiting for Ginny to respond with, yes, Carolyn, you're right.
Here I am. Can you hear me? Could you hear me?
As we come up to the end of the show.
Me? Oh, your volume's
2
down.
minutes left. And maybe my sound is off.
I'm like, no, I'm here. And you're right. You're absolutely right, Carolyn. You are right.
My gosh, I'm flailing about on my computer. Bye, Jenny. Thank you.
Bye, Carolyn. Bye, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Next week. Yay. Everybody, just pile on.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean Live Radio. listening to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's broadcast, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.